Hi guys, we'll be starting with lesson 1, the Reserve Bank of India 1934. Now RBI is the Central Bank of India. If we go back into the history of RBI, it all started in 1919. In 1919 there were many banks that were formed and they used to operate in their own way, and there was a lot of complaints that were coming from customers since these were not regulated much. So the East India Company formed the Royal Commission or the Hilton Young Commission. The Hilton Young Commission or the Royal Commission gave a report to the government, and it recommended to make a central bank to control all the other banks. In 1934, the RBI Act was passed on basis of the Hilton Commission. One interesting fact which is not very well known, that the Royal Hilton Commission or the Royal Commission, it formed the report based on what Babasaheb Ambedkar had given. So Dr. Ambedkar had written a book, The Problem of the Indian Rupee, Its Origin and Solution. He had given his report to the Hilton Young Commission, or called as the Royal Young Commission, on the Indian currency and finance. And on basis of that, the RBI Act 1934 was passed. In 1935, from 1st April 1935, RBI started its operations. It actually initially started off as a private bank with a capital of 5 crores held mainly by private shareholders. So it was a private bank which controlled all the other banks. Then what happened? It was headquartered in Kolkata. In 1937, the headquarters was shifted to Mumbai. Until date, it is in Mumbai only. Now, since RBI was started as a private bank, they decided to nationalize it and make it a government controlled bank. In 1949, very important date, 1st Jan 1949, RBI was nationalized. So all the private shareholders were given their due compensation, and then the control was taken from them. So this was the history of RBI. Let's go through it from the module. The origin of RBI was traced back in 1926, when the Royal Commission on the Indian Rupee and Finance, also known as the Hilton Young Commission, recommended the creation of a central bank to control the currency and credit. RBI Act 1934 was passed on basis of the recommendation, and it started its operations in 1935. It started as a private bank which was later on nationalized in 1949. The preamble of the RBI is given. We all know why RBI was formed. It was formed to issue notes and to ensure that there is a monetary stability in India. Now, the origin of RBI, if you see the important dates, in 1926, the Royal Commission recommended creation of a central bank. Then, on basis of their recommendation, the RBI's Act was passed in 1934, and they started their operations as a central bank on 1st April with the help of private shareholders of 5 crores. From there, they said, let's nationalize it, and in 1949 it was nationalized. If you go to see, RBI ceased to be the currency issuing authority for Burma, now Myanmar, because it was separated. Even it stopped rendering services to Pakistan because it was separated. So this was the small little history. Now coming to the structure of RBI. Okay. Now the structure, the most important are the board of directors, the central board of directors. This is the most supreme authority. Let's see. The central board of directors is at the top of RBI. Appointed under the RBI Act 1934, the central body, it oversees the entire functioning of RBI. The central government nominates 14 directors on the central board. So who appoints on this central board? It is a central government. They appoint around 14 directors. including one director from each local board. So there are 4 local boards. So that these local boards are basically divided in north, south, east and west, which we'll see down. So each board के लिए एक director appoint होगा. The other 10 directors will represent the different sectors of the economy. The other 10 are from different experts from the different sectors of economy. Now, the local boards, as I tell you, there are 4 local boards that they are divided in east, west, north, south division. Okay, that is which are located in Mumbai, Kolkata, New Delhi, and Chennai. Then comes the offices. Apart from the local board, also there are many sub branches apart from the local boards, also with the offices and branches. Now, the main executing officer, chief executive, is the RBI governor. It is Shakti Kanta Das now. The governor supervises and directs the functioning of the RBI. Both governor and deputy governor, they hold the office for a period of 5 years. So this they can ask you. The first question, the history. The second is the structure. Okay, in the structure we have seen there is the central board. The central government appoints around 14, 4 from each local board, south, north, west, those 4. Then come 10 from industry experts. Then you have the governor and the deputy governors. Okay, so this they have given you. Then come into the functions of RBI. Now when they ask you this functions of RBI, we've been doing this and you will be able to easily mention them. Okay. Firstly, the purpose of RBI you can give here is to issue bank notes to ensure that there is a monetary stability in India, and that it is essential to have a modern monetary policy framework. Now here they have given you the functions of RBI. Now since you've always been doing it, we know it is the banker's bank and it controls the bank, it's a banker for the government, it's custodian of foreign exchange, all those. But here they can ask you with respect to specific functions, they can ask you a question. Like write the role of RBI with respect to public debt functions. So let's see. First the generic part, you can take the highlighted part, the banking functions. So RBI normally controls all the banks and NBFCs, non-banking financial institutions. So all financial institutions are observed, superseded, or you could say controlled by the RBI. The board of RBI is headed by the governor and assisted by not more than 4 deputy governors. Now RBI is also called as a lender of the last resort. Now coming to issue functions. So after we know that the banking functions it has, then come to the issue function. Who is the issuer of bank notes in India? So that is none other but RBI. Is one of the key functions. It enables, the RBI Act enables the RBI to recommend to the central government the various denominations of bank notes. So they've given you which are the different denominations that we can have. Then the monetary policy functions. Now obviously if they ask you a generic question, you are freely to write. The RBI provides a statutory basis for the monetary policy framework and the monetary policy committee. The committee will consist of the governor, the deputy governors, the officers, etc. They've been entrusted with a statutory duty to determine the policy required rates to achieve the inflation targets. So we know the RBI makes the controls the monetary policy, controls or regulates the monetary policy of India. So they can decide how many notes to issue, how much not to issue, depending what are the inflation targets. Public debt functions. Now when I say public debt function means what? Tell me one thing. Does government borrow from public? Yes or no? Does the government borrow from public? Answer is yes. They have so many government bonds. So the public invest in these bonds. These bonds are given to the government, and in turn the government gives interest to these people. Different kinds of bonds are there. So this is the public debt, is how much debt should the government have, is given that. So even they recommend on that. The act applies of the Government Securities Act applies to government securities created and issued by the सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट. सो जो भी गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज होती है कितनी इशू करनी है वो सब रखते हैं, बिकॉज इट अफेक्ट्स द डेट ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. सो द प्रोसीजर्स, द मोडालिटीज आर फॉलोड बाय द आरबीआई इन द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द पब्लिक डेट. सो वी नो हु इज द कंट्रोलर ऑफ मनी मार्केट्स इन इंडिया. Money market is actually controlled by the RBI. Foreign exchange management, we know FEMA. There is a topic also of FEMA. So RBI regulates and is a custodian of foreign exchange. So how much foreign exchange comes into the country, how much goes out of the country is all maintained by RBI. Next is the banking regulation and supervision. So the Banking Regulation Act 1949 was made to control and formulate the banking policy and regulate the banking business to protect the interest of the banking companies, supervision of the banking companies, etc. So they will always make all the policies to ensure that there is a stable climate and there is economic growth, and also the money of the investors is protected. Now, Section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act also confers power to issue the license, and if any of the companies are not following the laws, they can even cancel the license. They will also make various policies and give direction on how to deal with stressed assets. When I say stressed asset means what debtors related, कितने सब bad debts होते हैं तो उसके related क्या करना चाहिए, they will also mention that. Thus, the overall responsibility to ensure the well-being of the banking company in providing the monetary stability and economic growth and to protect the interest of the depositors is left with RBI. Then even they are the regulator of NBFCs. License are also issued by RBI and they can also revoke it. So mandates every NBFC to obtain a certificate of registration from RBI. So RBI has been confirmed with the statutory powers to regulate, prohibit, issue of prospectus or advertisement by NBFCs and to determine the policy and direction with respect to NBFC. Now, general supervision over cooperative banks. Even we have cooperative banks, self-help banks are there, where the people, they come together, they contribute the money, and when they only need money, then they even lend the money. Okay, so even again here the cooperative banks also fall here. If you notice, all these cooperative banks and fall under the state list also, that's what they're saying, and also under the union list. So in the state list you have your registrar of societies or registrar of cooperative banks, and union list is the banking function. So cooperative banks both could be the regulator depending on what is the issue. Means what? In terms of Article 246, the powers are divided into the three lists. The entry of cooperative societies fall in state list where they relate, whereas the entry relating to banking falls under the union list. So there is a duality of jurisdiction over cooperative banks. So the registrar of cooperative societies and the RBI both have power over this cooperative banks depending on what was the issue. If it was related to banking, then RBI will come into play, and if it was related to any administration work or something, then the registrar will manage it. So the Honorable High Court has said that the control of the management of the cooperative society is with the registrar is vested with the Registrar of Cooperative Society, but in far as banking is concerned, then RBI has full powers. Then they also have regulations with respect to money market instruments. These are short-term instruments that are issued. Then payment and settlement system. So this is also very simple and nice, that if you must have heard that there are so many payment methods. So if a new payment method is being made, obviously this requires approval of RBI, because they ensure how the payments and the settlement will be done. So if we have NEFT, they must have taken approval of RBI, RTGS. Then we have so many payment wallet like Paytm. If you want to make a new mode of payment, then it comes under the Payment and Settlement Act 2007 with the object for regulation and supervision of payment system in India, and to designate RBI as the authority for the purpose of matters connected therewith and incidental thereto. No person can commence business except with the issued authorization of the RBI. If any person contravenes the provisions, RBI can issue directions to him. Then consumer protection functions. So we know they ensure that all the persons who are dealing and the customers, the RBI will ensure to protect the interest of them. Financial inclusion and development functions. Here they talk about financial scams. There are so many financial scams. Now why do they happen? They generally happen due to the lack of knowledge, lack of financial literacy. If a person is financially literate, he will be less susceptible to a scam or a fraud. So they have said that RBI will also take steps to ensure that they impart financial education and create awareness among the people. So the mushrooming, that's the creation of unauthorized and development of unauthorized and unregulated money lenders in the financial system, necessitated RBI to do something to check their rule book. India being a country with significant illiteracy, there remains an obligation on the part of the state to educate the people and also to include them in the organized financial system of the country. So there is a lot of inclusion that needs to be done even of those who are financially illiterate. Section 26A is a step towards achievement of this objective and makes it aptly clear that the statutes cast a responsibility on RBI to focus towards achieving financial literacy in the country. The first step is RBI itself should have expert staff who can guide and assist people. They have a right to issue the notes, that is the core banking function of RBI. Various denomination of notes are there which RBI can make, and we had seen that there was demonetization where rupees 500 notes and 1000 notes with effect from midnight 8th 2016 were made invalid. Then legal tender. So every banknote shall be a legal tender at the place in India in the amount and shall be guaranteed by payment by central government. So when I say legal tender means what? Your official currency where the government or the central bank recognizes that if you are holding this, we are guaranteeing that you will get that much amount. Currency distribution, they have to ensure that the various denominations are printed and given to all the banks. Coin distribution in the Indian Coinage Act 1906 governs the minting of rupee coins, including small coins and lesser than 1 rupee. Combating counterfeiting, that is fake notes. So RBI regularly and periodically reviews and upgrades the security features of the banknotes to deter counterfeiting. Bank exempt stamp duty on banknotes. So the bank is not liable to payment of any stamp duty and the Indian Stamp Act in respect of banks notes issued by it. तो जब भी बैंक नोट इशू कर रहे हैं तो ऑब्वियसली वहां पे कोई भी स्टैम्प ड्यूटी नहीं आएगा. Banker to the government. So for all the, as we have our account in certain commercial banks, government has their account with RBI. So RBI is a banker to all the governments. The Reserve Bank of India acts as an advisor to the government wherever called upon on the monetary and the banking related functions. Management of public debt. So I told you how much loan does a country should take is called as public debt. So they have to manage that. To manages the public debt. When I say public means government debt. Debt by India, loans by India, how much we take from World Bank, that is issue of new loans on behalf of the central government. The union budget decides the annual borrowing needs of the central government. Now RBI is a banker to the banks. The RBI fulfills the various functions of opening accounts, etc., maintaining all these reserves with RBI. Then prudential norms for bank. So they make a various kind of prudential means what? A kind of standards that they give them directions and guidance. Now why would they do that? In order to strengthen the balance sheet of banks, RBI has been prescribing appropriate prudential norms for all this. Now kya hai ki the bank should have adequate capital adequacy norms. That is, they will say that how much capital to risk average ratios and all those they will issue that the banks have to maintain. Loans and advances. The RBI requires the banks to classify the loans into different kinds of loans and performing and non-performing loans. तो एक हो सकता है performing and NPAs. तो bad debt जो भी हो सकते हैं उसको NPA में डालेंगे and primary based on the record and recovery of the borrowers. Investment. The banks RBI requires bank to classify their investment portfolios. Banks also make investments into three categories. One that you're going to hold it till maturity. सोचो कहीं पे इन्वेस्ट किया जो हम लोग सोच रहे कि 3-5 साल के बाद जब मैच्योरिटी होगी तब रिकवर करेंगे, तभी हो सकता है. तो मे बी HDFC बैंक has invested in some company, okay, where they have invested for 3 years. So ये क्या हो गया कि they are going to hold it till maturity. एक हो सकता है available for sale. Available for sale मतलब क्या? It is like a mid term. They might sell it before that also, before the expiry. And third is held for trading. So these are extremely short term where they will immediately plan to sell if they get a good deal. Then foreign exchange reserves management. So RBI regulates the foreign exchange reserves. Transactions in foreign exchange. So all the buying and selling of dollars and all these things are regulated by RBI. Next we'll be seeing market operations. In open market operations, the government tries to control the money supply in India. So what they do, either there is a sale of government securities or there is a purchase of government securities. Now tell me one thing, if the government is there and the government realizes that there is a lot of money circulating in the money, there is a lot of money flow in the market, because of which we know the prices increase very high and government wants to bring down the inflation levels. So what should the government do? Should they issue the securities or should they purchase the securities? Should they sell new instruments or they should purchase their own instruments? Let's understand. If the government sells their securities, the money that is there in the market will get absorbed and certain people will buy and then they will invest in these government securities. So the money supply in the country will reduce, because of which the inflation will reduce. So then there is a sale of government securities when the government want to absorb the funds, absorb public funds. They do that sometimes. What happens is there is so much money in the market that the prices increases. But in today you think there is a lot of money supply with the people? Answer is no. So what happens then? The government securities जो है, government says कि नहीं अभी हम नहीं चाहते कि हमारे आपका पैसा इधर वापस आए, आप लोग जाके मार्केट में स्पेंड करो. So उनके जो भी सिक्योरिटीज वो लोग ने इशू किए, they buy back, they purchase government securities or their own securities and they say नहीं अभी अवेलेबल नहीं है, आप लोग ही पैसा रखो, मार्केट में पैसे की बहुत कमी है. So in today's time where we see a cash crunch with everyone, RBI should not float in more funds, more government securities. So open market operation is a form of outright sale and purchase of government securities. It is an important tool to control the monetary management. They sell these through the secondary market on the negotiated dealing system order matching platform. Okay, so all these securities are sold on the NDS platform. Now, what is liquidity adjustment facility? We'll be coming into it shortly. Coming to your next one, your payments and settlement system. Now, this is important. It can come in the exam. Write a short note on the functions of RBI with respect to the payment and settlement system. Now, when I talk of payments and settlement, let's say there could be either direct cash payments or there could be certain paper payments. Paper we could see through the checks, demand drafts, etc. Where cash we've seen online payments like NEFT, then there is RTGS, any new forms of payments, payment methods. I can say bank wallets, wallets, we could say newer forms. There is UPI methods, you give it. So any of these payment and settlement system all require authorization of RBI. So let's see. And they have all been regulated by the Payment and Settlement Act 2007. The regulation and supervision of the payment system is increasingly recognized as a core responsibility of the central banks. We require safe and efficient functioning of these systems is a prerequisite for a proper functioning of a financial system. This act provides for regulation and supervision of the payment system, and it designates, that is authorizes, RBI as the authority for this purpose. So any new mode of payment is there, it requires approval of RBI. So it acts as per the act. Only payment systems authorized by the RBI can be operated in the country. So we've seen cryptocurrencies have not been given authorization to operate as money, पेमेंट एंड सेटलमेंट, बोले ये नहीं चल सकता, तो दे विल से कि कौन से नए मेथड्स आए हैं. नेक्स्ट, RBI has put in place an institution framework structure for oversight of the payment system. So एक structure in place किया है, they have put a framework for overseeing this payment system. They have actually created a board, और उस board के अंदर they have also made a department. So they have made the बोर्ड ऑफ रेगुलेशन ऑफ एंड सुपरविजन ऑफ पेमेंट एंड सेटलमेंट सिस्टम. तो एक बोर्ड बनाया है, एक डिपार्टमेंट भी बनाया, न्यू डिपार्टमेंट कॉल्ड एज द डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ पेमेंट एंड सेटलमेंट सिस्टम वाज कॉन्स्टिट्यूटेड टू असिस्ट द बोर्ड. सो दे हैव अडॉप्टेड अ थ्री-pronged strategy. Three-pronged strategy क्या है? It's just generic theoretical like consolidation, development and integration of to establish a modern and robust payment and settlement system which is efficient and secure. So they have made a strategy of consolidation, development and integration. मतलब क्या? Consolidation, development and integration means they will launch new methods of payment, okay, which are secure and very efficient. New payment methods. Second, द एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम जो है उसको भी हम स्ट्रेंथन करेंगे, एंड ये जो न्यू मेथड्स है वी विल ट्राई टू इंटीग्रेट इनटू डे टू डे transactions. We want that everything, RTGS, wire transfer, NEFT, there is so many payment modes that the government is making, wallets, etc. So all of that will be authorized and they are going to oversee all of this. The consolidation revolves around expanding the reach of the existing products. मतलब जो existing products है we try to make it available to everybody including the village areas and everything, and introducing a clearing process for new locations. So in certain places also we require where you can go and get assistance for ensuring that your payment goes through. The banks also have set up integrating the payment system with the settlement system for the government security and foreign exchange. मतलब अगर हम लोग पेमेंट करते हैं किसी को, क्या सेम डे सेटलमेंट हो जाता है ऑपोजिट पार्टी के, उसी दिन पे मिल जाता है पेमेंट? तो इफ आई मेक इवन, ये तो चलो ठीक है अभी थोड़ा और भी एफिशिएंट हो गया, बट इससे पहले अगर मैं पेमेंट करता हूँ, इट यूज टू टेक टाइम फॉर द सेटलमेंट टू बी डन. पेमेंट इज डन नाउ, सेटलमेंट यूज टू हैपन, सो दे आर ट्राइंग टू इंटीग्रेट इट कि इमीडिएटली सेम ही प्लेटफॉर्म पे एज सून एज पॉसिबल इट शुड बी हिट. मैं पेमेंट करूँ वहां पे उसको सेटलमेंट हो जाना चाहिए. टू फैसिलिटेट द सेटलमेंट of government security transactions, a negotiated dealing system as we have seen before. So if you want to buy government securities, चलो अगर शेयर्स वेयर्स बाय करना है तो मैं NSE BSE पे जाऊंगा, बट गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज पे बाय करना है तो कौन सी साइट है? तो साइट का नाम क्या है? NSD. तो इट्स अ नेगोशिएटेड डीलिंग सिस्टम. इट्स ऑन द RBI वेबसाइट ओनली. फॉर सेटलमेंट ऑफ ट्रेड in foreign exchange, the government securities is set up the clearing corporation, which helps that the जो भी transactions है counter party risk manage करने के लिए. Counter party risk means what? Suppose if government securities are there, it has been bought by one party and sold by another party in the secondary market. मतलब क्या होता है समझते हैं. मैंने गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज बाई की, अब ये गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज मेरे को बेच देनी है. जैसे मैं शेयर्स की ट्रेडिंग करता हूँ, व्हेन आई टॉक ऑफ सेकेंडरी मार्केट मतलब क्या, यहाँ पे ट्रेडिंग की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं. सो वन पार्टी सेल्स ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज टू अनदर पार्टी. सो व्हेन आई सेल इट ऑफ टू देम, टू दिस गाय, ही हैज टू मेक द पेमेंट टू मी. व्हाट इफ द सेकेंड पार्टी डज नॉट मेक द पेमेंट? नहीं, हम नहीं देंगे पेमेंट, जाओ. तो एक सेट क्लियरिंग कॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडिया रखा है. वी कैन कॉल इन अ वेरी लेमैन्स वर्ड, वी कैन कॉल इट एज वसूली भाई. दे इंश्योर दैट ऑल द ट्रांजैक्शंस आर सेटल्ड एंड क्लियर्ड. सो टुडे व्हेन आई बाय शेयर्स और आई डू समथिंग, ट्रांजैक्शन क्लियर होना ही पड़ेगा. ये क्लियरिंग कॉर्पोरेशन इसके रूल्स और इंश्योर कर दिए कि मिल जाए. देन कमिंग टू योर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी मैनेजमेंट. व्हेन आई टॉक ऑफ मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी मीन्स व्हाट? मनी मैनेजमेंट इन कंट्री. How much money should be there right now, RBI knows. One of the most important function of the central bank is to formulate and execute the monetary policy. The basic function of RBI is enunciated, that's provided or given in the preamble of RBI, which we had seen is to regulate the issue of banknotes, keeping in view the reserves and ensure securing monetary stability. It's one of the most important. So let's see what is the monetary policy and how they control the monetary policy. The monetary policy, first the meaning, it refers to a policy of the central bank with regard to the use of monetary instruments. वो हम लोग देखेंगे कौन से इनके tools होते हैं to control the monetary or the money. We've seen SLR, CRR, repo, reverse repo, ऊपर आएगा corridors, सब आएगा, we'll see. Under its control to achieve the specified goals, which is given in the preamble. The RBI is vested with the responsibility of adopting and implementing monetary policies. The primary objective of monetary policy is to maintain a price stability while keeping also the economic growth in mind. So monetary policy framework. Now this is a general given, just read. Okay. It is generic stuff. The RBI explicitly empowers, RBI Act empowers RBI to operate the monetary policy framework of the country. The framework aims at setting up the policy rate based on the assessment of the current and evolving macroeconomic situations. So the policy aims at setting up a policy रेट. पॉलिसी रेट मतलब क्या? रेपो, रिवर्स रेपो, ओके, वो सब रखेंगे टू एंकर द मनी मार्केट रेट्स एट अराउंड द रेपो एंड रिवर्स रेपो. अभी क्या है ये आगे आएगा. वंस द रेपो रेट इज अराउंड, देन द ऑपरेटिंग फ्रेमवर्क डिजाइंड बाय RBI envisages the liquidity management on day-to-day basis of the appropriate thing. So liquidity management भी होगा. ये कौन सा है? रेपो एंड रिवर्स रेपो. ये लिक्विडिटी मैनेजमेंट डेली ओवरनाइट अगर तुम्हें लोन चाहिए तो क्या होगा? सो ऑन अ डे टू डे बेसिस जो लिक्विडिटी बैंक्स के पास में होनी चाहिए, विच एम्स एट एंकरिंग द ऑपरेटिंग टारगेट ऑफ द वेटेड एवरेज कॉल रेट. तो वेटेड एवरेज तो इट्स एन एवरेज, कॉल रेट मतलब क्या? When one bank gives loan to another bank, that is called as the call rate. वो क्या रेट पे होना चाहिए आरबीआई भी बता रही है कि अगर आप एक दूसरे को लोन दे रहे हो तो ये रेट पे देना चाहिए. सो दे विल गिव द रेट. कभी लिक्विड ओवरनाइट वन बैंक नीड्स मनी so another bank can come and give, so they have also given the interest rate. Call rate means the interest rate that you can charge. Operating framework is fine-tuned and revised depending upon the evolving financial market and monetary conditions, will ensure consistency with the monetary policy stance. So in the monetary policy framework, you can say that we've set up a policy to control these repo rates. We've also made liquidity management for day-to-day basis, and we are constantly fine-tuning and revising our existing monetary policy. Now coming to the instruments of monetary policy. Very, very simple that you must have read. First, what is the repo rate? Normally loan कौन किसके पास से रहेगा? RBI will take a loan from the banks or the bank will take a loan from RBI. So obviously RBI will give loans to banks. So they will give loans to banks. अब बैंक को जब लोन दे रहे, जैसे हम लोग के पास से सिक्योरिटी लेते हैं, वैसे आरबीआई भी तो सिक्योरिटी लेगी कि आप क्या सिक्योरिटी दोगे हमें. तो काफ़ी सारी गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज अगर बैंक्स के पास में है तो वो उसको कोलैटरल रख सकते हैं. बैंक्स विल हैव टू कीप अ कोलैटरल. कोलैटरल मीन्स व्हाट? अ सिक्योरिटी के ये लीजिए आप हमको लोन दे रहे हैं. सो हो सकता है एक्सिस बैंक रिक्वायर्स अ लोन फ्रॉम आरबीआई, सो दे डिपॉजिट सर्टेन ऑफ देयर सिक्योरिटीज एंड देन टेक अ लोन. So that is called as the repo rate. The interest rate is called as the repo rate. The interest rate at which RBI provides overnight liquidity to the banks against the collaterals of certain approved securities. This is all done under the liquidity adjustment facility, is called as repo rate. Okay. So if I see this, what do you mean by repo rate? Repo rate is a rate at which RBI lends short-term money to banks against securities, approved securities. Now coming to reverse repo rate. अब रिवर्स बोल ही दिया मतलब उल्टा हो रहा है. उल्टा हो रहा है मतलब क्या हो रहा है? आरबीआई है और बैंक है. नाउ लोन कौन ले रहा है? नॉर्मली बैंक को लोन लेना चाहिए. यहां पे क्या हो रहा है? लोन एक्चुअली इज बीइंग गिवन बाय द बैंक टू आरबीआई. अब बैंक आरबीआई को लोन क्यों देगा? दिस यू कुड से, एंड इन रिटर्न आरबीआई विल गिव देम इंटरेस्ट. दिस इंटरेस्ट इज कॉल्ड एज रिवर्स रेपो रेट. अब ये क्या होता है? जस्ट कंसिडर दिस एज अ बैंक एफडी. बैंक एक एफडी कर रही है आरबीआई के साथ में और फिर उनको उसके बाद में पैसे मिलते हैं. अब टेल मी वन थिंग, डू आरबीआई रिक्वायर मनी? नो, बट दे इंटेंशनली डू इट टू कंट्रोल द मॉनेटरी सप्लाई इन द मार्केट. अगर उनको लग रहा है कि मार्केट में बहुत ज्यादा पैसा है, बहुत ज्यादा मनी फ्लो हो रहा है, तो रिवर्स रेपो रेट को क्या कर देंगे? बढ़ा देंगे. तो क्या होगी? बैंक्स यहाँ पे एफडी करेगी, बैंक्स आरबीआई को लोन देगी और वो फंड्स बैंक के पास से निकल जाएंगे. बैंक्स के पास नहीं होगा तो पब्लिक के पास फंड्स नहीं होगा. Clear it now? So if you go to see now the condition, the repo rate, that is the rate at which RBI lends to banks has been reduced. क्यों रिड्यूस कर दिया? क्योंकि वो हम चाहते हैं कि आरबीआई के पास से लोन्स बैंक्स ले, तो दे विल गिव द लोन और फिर ये लोन मार्केट में जाएगा, so they will go to the public. So when we want to infuse the money in the market, तो आरबीआई जितना रेट्स कम पे देगा, रेपो रेट जितना कम होगा, इंटरेस्ट रेट जितना कम होगा ऑफ लेंडिंग रेट, तो बैंक को भी सस्ते में पड़ेगा, तो बैंक भी लोगों को सस्ते में देगी. तो ऑब्वियसली देयर विल बी मोर लोन्स इफ द इंटरेस्ट रेट्स आर रिड्यूस्ड. सेम वे रिवर्स रेपो रेट. Now, what is liquidity adjustment facility? Let's understand this. Now, in the module, it's not given very nicely, so I've just made it. You can take a note of this. You can write this in the exam. Okay. Liquidity adjustment rate refers to the difference between the repo rate and the reverse repo rate, informally known as the liquidity corridor. देखो, एक पे लोन दे रही है, एक पे लोन ले रही है, दोनों का डिफरेंस बिटवीन द रेपो रेट, that is the lending rate, and difference between the reverse repo rate, that is the borrowing rate of RBI, is called as your LAF. Okay, I could say the liquidity corridor. This entire thing is provided as overnight short-term finances entirely under the liquidity adjustment facility. So the difference between them is your LAF. It is also called as liquidity corridor. The objective, it is the primary instrument of RBI, modulating liquidity and transmitting interest rate signals to the market. It was introduced in June 2000 on recommendation of the Narasimhan Committee, and the impact of repo rate, if I reduce the repo rate, it injects liquidity into the market, while so increasing repo rate will, let's say, when I increase the interest lending rates, obviously it will go at higher rates to banks and people will give, so the liquidity will be reduced in the market. If I reduce the repo rate, the more loans mean more liquidity or more funds to the people. Clear it now? Simple as this you can write. Then comes marginal standing facility. Marginal standing facility क्या होता है? रेपो रेट और रिवर्स रेपो रेट में गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटी, मतलब वहां पे गिरवी कुछ ना कुछ किया जाता है इन रेपो रेट. यहां पे क्या होता है? व्हाट इफ you require more money, so the facility ये जो है, it is available only to scheduled commercial banks. They can get additional funding under this scheme. तो जो scheduled commercial banks है can borrow additional amount overnight money from RBI under this scheme facility. It provides a safety valve against unanticipated liquidity shocks to the banking system. So sometimes it's possible that we get a shock and we require additional amounts, so that we can go under. But who can go? Only scheduled commercial banks who have been mentioned in the schedule 2 of RBI. So these are very good banks जिनको shock होता है वो आ सकते हैं. The next one is the bank rate. That is important. Bank rate जो था, it is also a rate at which is the RBI lending rate. RBI lending rate, same as repo rate. It is same as repo rate, but only difference is there is no collateral kept. No collateral kept by RBI. मतलब क्या? हम लोग बोल रहे हैं कि भाई ठीक है, आपको पैसे की जरूरत है, ये लीजिए, हम आपके पास से अनसिक्योर्ड बोरोइंग, अनसिक्योर्ड लोन दे रहे हैं, तो दैट इज बैंक रेट. It is a rate at which RBI is ready to buy or discount bills of exchange. So कभी कोई bills of exchange, so this is one thing which I told you. Suppose if you have a bills of exchange, the bank, it comes to me, I discount it and I give you the money. So the bank rate is published under section 49 of the RBI Act. Next is your cash reserve and statutory liquidity ratio. सो यहाँ पे क्या होता है? बैंक से पास में एक नेट डिमांड एंड टाइम लायबिलिटी होती है. बैंक्स लाइक मे बी एक्सिस बैंक, एनी बैंक विल हैव अ नेट डिमांड. मतलब क्या? डिमांड डिपॉजिट्स. तो इतना पैसा अपने पास है कि नहीं? लेट्स टेक एन एग्जांपल. टोटल डिपॉजिट्स दैट द बैंक हैज रिसीव्ड इन फॉर्म ऑफ FD इज 100 crores. दिस इज द बैंक डिपॉजिट्स that public have made. अब ये क्या बैंक डिपॉजिट्स इतनी आई है 100 करोड़ की, तो क्या 100 करोड़ का लोन दे देंगे आगे? बैंक का तो वही बिजनेस है ना, ये जो तुम एफडी करते हो वही सामने लोन देते हैं, तो क्या पूरा दे देना चाहिए कि थोड़ा अमाउंट तो कैश रिजर्व रखना चाहिए? तो वो बोल रहे इसका एक परसेंटेज है, मे बी 4% और 5% डेविल से 5% आप प्लीज ये जो आपने एफडीज ली है उसका आप रखिए, 5% of this should be kept as cash reserve. So it is the average daily balance at a bank which is required to be maintained by RBI as a percentage of this total demand deposit that you have, that will notify, RBI will notify. Statutory liquidity ratio मतलब क्या? Cash and cash equivalent such as gold, cash, securities ये mention करो. तो generally you could say this is 24% के आसपास, बिकॉज कैश भी आता है और कैश इक्विवेलेंट भी तुम्हारे पास में रखो. ये क्यों कर रहे हैं? कभी कोई अचानक लोग एफडी तोड़ाने आए तो बैंक के पास में पैसा होना चाहिए टू गिव इट. तो दिस इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ हार्ड कोर कैश, दिस इज ऑफ इन द फॉर्म ऑफ कैश एंड कैश इक्विवेलेंट दैट यू हैव टू कीप. Then we open market, we saw it is either if you want to inject funds into the market. So then what you do, you buy back your own securities. So then money will remain in the market. And if you want to absorb the liquidity in the market, then you issue more government securities and absorb the entire funds from the market accordingly. Then comes the constitution of a monetary policy committee. अब ऑब्वियसली एक ऐसी कमेटी बनानी पड़ेगी विच विल ओवरसी द एंटायर मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी. तो द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट मे बाय ऑफिशियल गजेट constitute a committee called as the Monetary Policy Committee of the bank. They will have the following members: the governor of the bank, the chairperson, the deputy governor, one officer nominated by the central board, and 3 members to be appointed by the central board. Okay. The monetary policy shall determine the policy rate required to achieve the inflation targets. तो वो लोग गवर्नमेंट के पास में पूरा रहता है कितना इन्फ्लेशन मार्केट में होना चाहिए, कितना नहीं. तो कम भी करना है तो भी उनके पास में टूल्स हैं, बढ़ाना भी है तो भी उनके पास टूल्स हैं. द डिसीजन ऑफ द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमिटी शैल बी बाइंडिंग ऑन द बैंक. द मीटिंग्स ऑफ द मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, कितनी बार इनको मिलना चाहिए? सो दे शैल ऑर्गेनाइज लाइक हाउ बोर्ड मीटिंग मीट, एटलीस्ट 4 मीटिंग्स इन अ ईयर. द मीटिंग शेड्यूल शुड बी पब्लिश्ड at least a week before the first meeting in that year. The quorum of the meeting shall be at least 4 members and at least one of them should be the governor should be present, and in his absence the deputy governor. Each member shall have at least one vote. The proceedings of the monetary policy shall be confidential. They will prepare a report. The bank shall once in every 6 months publish a document containing the monetary policy report. Explain the source of. Then comes a monetary policy report. The banks shall every once in 6 months publish a document called as a monetary policy report, which we know, we've seen so many times monetary policy reports by RBI, where they tell what is the source of inflation, why there is inflation, and their forecast of the inflation. So they say what is their predicted inflation. Then comes penalty, that whosoever in any application, declaration, return or information makes a false statement, knowing it to be false, or willfully makes any omits to make a material statement, shall be with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years and also be liable to fine. If any person fails to produce any books, if when asked, he shall be punishable with fine which may extend to 2000 rupees, and if the persistence is there or failure, it may extend to 100 rupees per day after the first date till the offense continues. And then they've given you the penalties. That's it. We are done with the chapter.